Hi everyone, and welcome to English 2. So I am Dr. Joseph Rodriguez. I'll be your instructor this semester. We'll be meeting each other in person in a few weeks, but due to the kind of increased risk of the Omicron Delta of coronavirus in our area, Haskell has elected to go online entirely for its first 3 weeks of the semester. So for now, we'll have to kind of get to know each other via these videos and via kind of text discussion posts and such. But soon enough, we will be getting to meet in person, and I look forward to meeting all of you in a more in-depth way then. So, English 2. This course meets at 3 different times. One of those is the time you should be enrolled in. So, one meeting time for Section 3 is Monday, Wednesday, 10:10 to 11:25 in Ross Hall 128B. Section 4 is Tuesday, Thursday, 9:45 to 11, also in Ross Hall 128B. And finally, Section 5 is Tuesday, Thursday, 2:30 to 3:45, once again in Ross Hall 128B. So these first 3 weeks, those times won't mean a ton. Because I know a lot of Haskell students have run into, at least in the past several semesters, run into issues with their Blackboard access, their email access, and or their internet access. I've chosen to do these first 3 online weeks as an asynchronous course. So what that means, if you haven't seen it from the announcement already, is that we don't meet at a set time. Instead, I'll put up assignments and videos and such. You'll watch those in your own time, whenever works for you, which could be our class time. It could be, 2 in the morning. And then you'll complete your assignments, again, at a time and pace that works for you. So you don't necessarily have to be any given place or on a chat room at any given time. That said, after these first 3 weeks, obviously we'll be meeting in those rooms at that time. So you do want to remember when those are for the future. For now, just keep in mind that you can kind of work at your own pace these first 3 weeks. Just try not to fall too far behind, because it'll get a little dicier catching up once the semester gets in full swing and we're in person. So like I mentioned, I'm Dr. Joseph Rodriguez. I am an instructor of English here at Haskell. My office, if any of you do need to meet with me in person, or just want to stop by once we're back on campus and in person, is in Ross Hall 142. So just on the other side of the building from our classroom. If you need to reach me, whether about something with class or question about content or really anything else, your best bet is to contact me via email. My email is jrodriguez@haskell.edu, and the office and email are both on the syllabus. Your best bet is not to try to call me via phone. There is a phone number listed for me on the website in the directory. Unfortunately, due to the fact that Ross Hall recently underwent a major renovation, not everything has been moved back into our offices, and a lot of things are still in boxes. One of those things is just about everyone's phones. So my office phone is currently not usable. So if you call it, you're not going to get an answer. Sorry about that. So email me. That's going to be the easiest way to reach me. So this course is English 2. This is sort of an introductory course to Lit, as well as a kind of continued course on composition and writing and research strategies. The goal for this is to kind of help you learn to maybe understand and experience literature more fully, and to kind of allow you to express opinions and make arguments, and in general use ideally some level of critical thinking and awareness through discussion in class and then writing outside of class. Now, I would like to just preface, if it sounds kind of scary, literature, by that we in English tend not to just mean, great books, capital G, capital B. It's not just, Shakespeare and Jane Austen. there is a lot of things can count as literature. We have a very flexible definition of that. You probably have noticed that our one actual textbook for this course is in fact a comic book, Watchmen. And so we'll be reading that later in the semester. But comic books count as literature. Depending on your definition, you can definitely include things like movies, TV shows, and really when we talk about fiction, which we'll do a lot this semester, all of those things will be fair game. So when we're doing writing about, like our first major assignment is you're going to get to write about a text of your choice, a literary text. You can write about, Shakespeare or Jane Austen. But if you want to write about a comic book or a TV series or a movie, that's also just fine. So don't be worried that it's all just going to be, classic literature, capital L. We're definitely doing some of that, but hopefully there's also some things that you'll respond to and maybe kind of like a little more. So the objectives of this course and student learning outcomes are pretty simple. Hopefully you'll come out of this course kind of knowing literary terms and concepts and being able to use them. Being more familiar with and able to engage in all the steps of the writing process, from coming up with an idea, researching the idea, planning out an essay, actually writing an essay, revising it, editing it, and finally submitting it. Hopefully you'll come out of this course able to produce some well-organized writing that's clear in what it's trying to do, has a definite beginning, middle, and end, and that you come out of here being able to make an argument that you support with evidence, specifically being able to support it with relevant details and examples from the text in this case. And finally, we'll do some work with research and specifically your ability to find and evaluate external research sources. So, reading and writing heavy class, definitely do try your best to keep up with the reading, since we will have quizzes on a regular basis on Blackboard, and those will revolve around the reading for a given day. So if you have not read, you're going to find those quizzes tricky, and you'll also find class discussion tricky. By the same token, you also want to keep up with writing, just because a large portion of your final grade will be based on writing assignments. So if you fall behind on one of these, it will create some issues, and if you feel like you're falling so far behind it's difficult to catch up, come talk to me and we can see about how we can get you caught up. So as I mentioned, we have one kind of major text for this semester, and that is Watchmen. We have other shorter texts. Those will all be available through Blackboard. I believe most, if not all of those, are already up on Blackboard if you want to kind of take a sneak peek ahead. So I mentioned Blackboard. Presumably you have Blackboard Access, since that's how you're probably getting to this video. But do keep in mind you will need regular computer and internet access to complete this class. Obviously these first 3 weeks are online only, so if you don't have those things, you're kind of screwed. But even afterwards, you'll still be using Blackboard to turn in assignments, to take quizzes, and depending on how the semester goes, we may end up online for some smaller or larger portion of the semester beyond this first 3 weeks. For example, last semester I was expecting to spend it mostly in person. We spent about half online, in part because we had to go online when they were redoing the floors in Ross Hall. So that was a few weeks. And then towards the end, they were doing some impromptu jackhammering on the cement steps outside of Ross Hall for several weeks. And it was not... having class in the building was not really workable with, the sound of jackhammering, making the building rumble. So hopefully we won't be dealing with any of those kinds of setbacks this semester, but in case we do try to make sure that you have decent internet access. So, again, our Blackboard course website, you probably know how to access this, since that's how you're getting here. But any kind of immediately important info will be posted as an announcement on Blackboard. I also will check the box that sends that announcement when it's made to whatever email you have registered with Blackboard. So make sure whatever email you have associated with Blackboard is an email you check regularly. I think by default it goes to your Haskell email, but if there's another email you check more often, maybe have it go to that one instead. Everything else should be easily accessible from that main course content page that first shows up when you click on the course. So we do have several kind of assignments and ways in which your grade is kind of calculated. 20% of your grade will come from attendance and participation. These first 3 weeks is going to be based on your participation in discussion topics. So we'll currently obviously have our introductory discussion topic, which we'll talk about in a bit. But we'll have other discussion topics as we move through course content. After those first 3 weeks, it'll revolve around primarily in-class discussion. So of that 20% attendance and participation, 10% of that is from attendance, 10% of it is from participation. So come to class, and as far as participation, come having read and prepared to, hopefully talk about it, and you'll be good. Another 20% of your grade will come from several short assignments, specifically an autobiography of a reader-writer that we do next week, and then 8 short Blackboard reading quizzes. 7 short Blackboard reading quizzes. So each of those quizzes is going to be very short, like 2-3 questions. And we'll talk more about those once the first one goes up. But they're not something you should stress out about, but do make sure that you take them, because they are going to add up to a decent portion of your grade, and there should hopefully be easy points if you're doing the reading. Then we'll have 2 major essays, each of which will be worth 20% of your grade. The first one we'll do in 2 drafts. We'll have a short kind of, maybe not short, but a sort of first draft that may not be fully complete, but where you're trying to get as much done as you can. And then a final draft where you'll have polished that, revised it, and the first draft will only be graded on did you attempt it? Are you trying to do the things you're supposed to be doing this assignment? Did you clearly read the instructions and pay attention? The final draft will be graded on quality. The second draft, there's only 1 draft, so it all gets graded in the same place. And then finally, another 20% of your grade will come from exams. 10% of that is going to be your midterm exam, and 10% your final exam. As far as attendance goes, generally just make sure that you attend class regularly. It will obviously factor into your grade, and also you'll have a much better understanding of our course content if you come to class and get the background you need and the discussion that will help enrich your understanding. When you miss class, you will still be responsible for any information that was given during that class. So definitely once you're back in person, try to make a friend of the class, and hopefully, if you miss a day, they'll have been there and can take notes or something. In part because I'll be happy to help you understand any particular ideas or information that you might not get, but I just don't have time to teach the class over again. Obviously, these first 3 weeks, that won't be an issue because there's no real attendance. It's just videos that you can rewatch whenever. But in person, I just can't teach the class over again to folks who miss. So get notes from someone who was there, do any reading you might have missed, and then if there's still things you don't understand, come talk to me. We can work you through them. Also, just FYI, please do not ask me if there was anything you missed on the days you were gone. There was. If we had class, you missed something. So just assume that there was and act accordingly. Talk a bit more about writing expectations later in the semester. And so when we start talking about our major assignments. But for now, the things I want you to remember about writing are that any assignments you turn in, this will include our autobiography of a reader-writer assignment that we do next week, should be submitted digitally to an appropriate Blackboard Dropbox. Submit it as a Word or a PDF file. Do not send me a link to your document on cloud storage. So do not send me a Google Docs link. Do not send me a SharePoint Office document link. Just don't do it. The problem with those is that 9 times out of 10, people are not sending the link with the correct permissions. So I click on the link and I get, you don't have permission to access this file. Please request permission from the person. And then I have to email you to get permission. You have to give the permission, then email me to let me know that I have the permission, and then I can finally see your assignment and grade it. That's a lot of points where communication can break down and things can mess up. So if any of those points it breaks down, your assignment doesn't get graded. So do not send me a link. If you do, I will not grade it and I will ask you to send me a document instead. Heads up. If you don't know how to save a document in something like Google Docs, ask me. There are options in both Google Docs, Office obviously, that let you like save as to your hard drive or a flash drive, or that will let you download the document that you're working on as a file. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind with writing assignments is plagiarism. The short version, do not plagiarize or cheat. The long version will go into in much more detail later on this semester. But for now, keep in mind using other people's words or ideas without giving them proper credit counts as plagiarism. Yes, that means even if you are paraphrasing something someone else said in your own words, you still need to give the original author credit for their idea, if it is in fact their idea. The reason I say this is because I have a pretty zero-tolerance plagiarism policy. The first incident of plagiarism or cheating will result in an F in the class. So, don't do it, because you will screw yourself over. Every semester I usually have at least one student who plagiarizes, and they have an F in the class that they can't undo. So don't do it. Plagiarism often comes from a place of panic. So if you are panicking, talk to me. I'm pretty lax on deadlines. I'm pretty lenient. I'd much rather get something that you actually wrote that comes in late than something that you didn't write on time. And not just because it means I have to give out fewer Fs. So, do not plagiarize. Obviously, in the case of exams, do not cheat. And you should be fine. And again, before we get into our major essays, we'll talk about plagiarism in much more exhaustive detail and how to avoid it. But for now, don't use other people's words, don't use other people's ideas. You should be good. Okay, then finally, the thing I want to make sure we cover is our course calendar. Obviously on the syllabus, it'll have a nicely laid out chart. These first 3 weeks, again, content is kind of set up by week because we're not necessarily tied to specific days. But after these first 3 weeks, I have things set up as, the thing we're doing on the Monday or Tuesday class, and then the things we're doing on the Wednesday or Thursday class. One thing to keep in mind, since I'm teaching this class on both Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, this means that if one section gets a day off, I'm going to give the other section a matching day off, just to keep y'all in sync. So what this specifically affects for this semester is President's Day. President's Day is Monday, February 21st, and I'll also, for the Tuesday, Thursday classes, you'll also have the Tuesday, February 22nd, we'll have this class off, just to keep everything lined up. Always keep in mind, as far as dates, spring break is the week of March 14th, and obviously we'll have no class during that period. We'll have a midterm exam the week we get back from spring break, on Wednesday the 23rd of March and Thursday, March 24th. And our finals week for this semester starts on the 9th, I believe, of May. If you're planning trips home, hopefully you haven't planned your end of semester travel yet, but if you are, schedule it after finals week is over. Because we still have not gotten our schedule for finals week, like when our exams are. And that means it could be at any point through Thursday, May 12th, that afternoon. So if you're going to leave after that. because otherwise you may find yourself missing a final exam, and you don't want to do that. As far as other major assignments, we will have our first draft of our first essay due in, again, early March, right before spring break. Our final draft will be due the week after our midterm exam, so like 3 weeks later. And then our final essay will be due the Thursday of finals week, so that kind of last possible time. That is pretty much it for the kind of syllabus content. Obviously, there's a lot more in the syllabus, so I would recommend looking at the syllabus, reading through it. Some of it is stuff I covered in this, but some of it I have not. But everything in the syllabus you'll be expected to know. So definitely do take a look at it. It also has a lot of the academic policies, like what to do if you think you have a disability or have a documented disability, how to handle children on campus, that sort of thing. So take a look at the essay or the syllabus, and you'll be good to go. Few final thoughts. Do try to keep up with the syllabus. These first 3 weeks are flexible, but after that, you will want to make sure you're coming to class having done whatever assigned reading is listed up for that day on the syllabus. Don't fall too far behind on the reading. Don't fall too far behind on the writing assignments, because although I am pretty relaxed on deadlines, there does eventually come a point of no return at the end of the semester where, as my mom would say, either shit or get off the pot. And the last thing you want to do is be hitting that point with like 2 or 3 assignments that you have to do all at the last minute. So try to keep up over the course of the semester as you can. Obviously, things happen in everyday life that make it really difficult sometimes. And so if you need to take some extra time, take that time. But do your best to catch up when you can. So I'll end this video by asking you, we have an introduction topic up on our course site. So discussion topic. So I'd like you to go to that discussion topic and introduce yourself. Obviously, we'll be introducing ourselves in a little more, it's not quite as nice as it would have been if we'd actually been in person, and we will eventually get to know each other's names and such in person. But for now, at least we can start that process going. And then later in the week, I will put up a video on close reading, kind of an introduction to close reading, what it is, why we do it, and how we do it. And so, kind of look forward to that. And I will be sending an announcement when that video goes up. In the meantime, that is it for today. Here's to a good semester ahead, and I look forward to meeting all of you in person in a few weeks.